Hey guys, welcome back to the latest episode of the Growing a Dental Practice podcast. I am your host, Mike Hennon from Patient Boost. And today is a great day because we finally have Sahil back. Woo!
Hey.
That was underwhelming, Sahil.
Should we try again?
No, we're well and truly into this podcast now. I ain't going back. The reason I'm excited is because although I've seen you fairly frequently throughout the past few months, we haven't had you on the podcast just because you've been busy. I think we've had podcasts lined up, but we have to cancel them both ends. And so today is a great day because we get to catch up on all things DYD and see how it's probably one of the latest. It's still probably one of the newest, even if not the newest dental practice in Ealing, isn't it? Or have you seen any pop up?
Someone has opened up pretty much within a few months after us, but I think we might have touched on this either on the podcast or maybe just talking with each other. Just a couple of 100 meters down the road, and they're down but they're around the back of the car park, down sort of like a side alleyway kind of thing. So
okay, so as soon as you said around the back of a car park, that sounds dodge.
Yeah.
That doesn't scream quality or trust. I'm sure they're fantastic. To whoever carparkdentist.com is. I don't know why I've called them that either. You've been back. You come back on the show. The podcast has gone to shit. No. So we're basically gonna dig into Ealing's second youngest dental practice. We're gonna find out how it's been going.
Yeah.
So from memory, I think we're just catching up on this. The last time we spoke, you were on the fence about firing someone. Well, when I say on the fence, you were basically off the fence, ready to fire them.
Yeah.
Like there's no fence involved.
Yeah.
And you were about to hire some associates, or they'd already been employed but hadn't started yet.
Yeah.
And there was definitely some talk around the expansion into the second room, the chair delays, that kind of thing. So in any order you see fit, just give us an update. I'll pick points here and there. But let's just try and recap what's happened the last few months.
So said person got fired.
Okay, how'd it go?
You know what? Fairly straightforward. It was a case of me asking the person questions as to how they were getting on, and I think as they were talking, everything was pointing towards what was going to happen next. And as it happened, they fired themselves, which I'm quite proud of.
Perfect. That's exactly how it should happen.
Yeah.
I don't know. But that does remind me of something that that we've started doing. Is when you do an evaluation of someone, or you're doing like a review with someone, you basically ask them, if you were in my position, what would you do? And I guess that's you probably didn't ask that, but they
I didn't. It was more a case of, how do you feel this is going? Do you think it's going as well as it could? What could be improved? Would you expect it to be at this stage, this far in, etc. So I didn't ask them how I was. What would you do if you were in my shoes, sort of thing, because I think that was plainly obvious where that conversation was going. But yeah, it was.
So they resigned, or?
Yeah, it was but they were at the end of they were at the probation period anyway. So I'm just going to adjust the camera. They were within their probation period anyway, so I guess it was a mutual thing of a mutual agreement to not continue. If I'm absolutely,
cool. So it wasn't.
Sorry, go on.
No, go ahead.
I was just saying, if I'm absolutely honest, that was the best thing. We should have done it sooner. And there's potentially someone else that I'm going to fire, but we'll see how it goes. I need to replace him first.
Yeah. See, when you're still a growing practice, can you disguise? You can obviously disguise new hires as growth related. It's not like there's we're bringing someone in that's obviously going to replace you.
I don't see that that's necessary. But I think in hindsight, getting rid of that person at reception, we should have tried to replace them first. And there was too much procrastination in terms of, I think we've always got a job ad on, but too much procrastination in terms of getting those people through the door, interviewed, and then making the decision. So,
and what's holding you back from that? Do you need to take that?
Yeah, can we pause for a sec?
Yeah.
Cheers.
Are we going to do the implants?
Oh no, I'm sorry, I didn't realise we were going to finish like that. I was hoping to do it at lunch. Can I? I'll chat to you about next week because I think we've got pretty.
Well, we're here tomorrow anyway.
Yes, but we've got pretty packed day unless someone cancels. Has Andrew left?
No, he's still doing his notes.
Oh wow, okay,
Just finishing up.
fine.
Tomorrow start time.
10.
So, 10. Okay. So what?
Yes, perfect. Cheers. Sorry, go on.
Cool. So I'll chop that out. You were.
Was that still recording?
Yeah, I was. You said pause, and I was like, "Shit, how do I pause?" I was like, "Let's keep it going." So I just got you a mid sort of practice owner flow. So you were hesitating.
No,
what was causing you to hesitate? Why hesitating, or is it because you've got someone you don't feel the need to like keep interviewing people?
No, not hesitate. Procrastinate.
Procrastinate. Okay.
Yeah. So the intention was always to carry on hiring one after the other, because there's always, I want to do less and less work, and there's always work to be done in the practice. But it was that procrastination on, no, actually, you know what, we're okay. We can muddle through at the moment. And then you let go of someone, and then you're like, oh, actually, I'm short now. So I think doing it the other way around, reflecting back on it, doing it the other way around is probably better. Replace them first, and then get rid. Obviously, the law allowing probation periods, allowing etc. Because sometimes if you're at the end of a probation period, then you've got to get a move on. In terms of either extending that or getting rid at that point. So so I think that's what I would change there.
And did they serve any sort of notice period, or did they just sort of go?
No, they took their 1 week notice period as holidays, paid holidays.
Okay. Cool, because that's one thing. Like, I get notice periods from a business perspective, like it's to try to fill that void.
Yeah.
But I'm always, conscious, like, as soon as someone resigns or they've been, let go or whatever, then obviously they're just like, their heart's not in it. So could they do more damage?
Yeah, no, I would pay them and go.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I would do. I'd ask them to take a paid notice period and leave. And as it happened, they had paid holidays outstanding anyway. So it worked quite great.
Cool, perfect. Win-win for both of you, and they've moved on, and you're now short-staffed, so that's even better.
We did replace them. We did replace them reasonably soon afterwards, but
just like there's that moment in between.
Yeah, there's that moment in between, and you don't really want to be in that. That's poor planning from my part. So, we're currently hiring for another receptionist who's in for a trial next week, and we want to make sure we're overstaffed rather than understaffed. Because we can always, work around that.
Perfect. That's cool. Brilliant. And so that was that storyline.
Mm-hmm.
The storyline has been sewn up. Associates, how have you been getting on?
Yeah, good. I think from my perspective, I just need my diary a little bit freer so I can do more admin stuff, practice owner stuff, but also just take some time home, take some time off and just be at home and sit and do nothing. Just because you do need to switch off, and having the last year in top gear sort of takes its toll. Not so much in terms of, I could probably still carry on, but having now I've been on holiday for a week last month, switching off, I took my laptop with me, but I I opened it for 2 hours, and even then I wasn't really concentrating on what I was doing. I was sort of listening to the guys chatting in the background. So realizing that actually, you know what, I'm just going to switch off, sod it. If we don't respond to that inquiry in the first 15 minutes, it's not really the end of the world. So switching off a little bit is really important. So having the associates is quite nice for that. So we've had what have we had? Go on.
And I was going to say, like, I think it's good. It's a good thing to recognise. That kind of you can't go at 100% all the time. Like, you do need to have that sort of
and it's recognizing
break.
Exactly, but it's also recognizing that, and to be honest, I was quite clear on this to myself before I started, recognizing that I'm not the person this is built around. The business has to be its own entity and not dependent on me. And if I'm sitting in the surgery, okay, I gross quite well, then I'm not focusing on strategic things that the business should be focusing on. And sometimes you just need a clear mind, and you feel like you've not really achieved something if you're not doing anything. But you might send a couple of emails out that day for new opportunities, things like sponsorships and things like that, and who knows how many doors those will open. But you've got to sort of risk it and take it, because I know I would earn a lot more being a dentist than I would and seeing patients in that time than I would planning on the business. But that's because the return on that investment hasn't been realised yet. So that's one thing that having associates has sort of freed me up to do. And we've hired quite a few actually. So I think the first person we hired was someone to do root canals and facial aesthetics. We've managed to keep her reasonably busy throughout. This month's been a bit quiet, but that's the basis on which we're hiring these people. That like, we're a new practice. You're going to get all the kit. I like to have nice stuff, and it all works. But you're going to have to work with us in terms of making sure that things are fully booked. And sometimes, if it's a bit quiet, we may need to merge your. If you've got 2 days, we might have to merge them into one, or you didn't need to be prepared to come in for half a day or whatever. So we've hired someone to do root canals, and then we got someone in as a general associate who's doing Tuesdays, and then we got someone in to do implants, and someone else to do extractions, and someone else to come in as today our second general dentist associate started, so he's doing Wednesdays. And just taking it as a business needs. So that's hiring associates has been quite important, and I think on reflection we've sort of done it at the right time. I don't think it's too late, and I don't think it's too early. So
yeah, that's cool. So other than the fact that it's kind of a brand new facility, you got all the you don't skip out on the equipment. What other things do you think has attracted these associates to you or to DYD?
I think it's just that. I know that associates are quite difficult to find, but if I'm absolutely honest, we've not had a lack of applications. Every time I put an advert on, so I've only advertised on Facebook groups for associates. Every time I put an advert on a Facebook group, we're bombarded by emails to say, right, okay, this is me, this is my Instagram account. So, a lot of these people are young. A lot of these people have portfolios. I've had dentists book in to see me for a checkup and pay for it, and then drop their CV off. And I'm just wondering, couldn't you just have jumped into the chair at your own practice at lunchtime and got someone else to look at you? Because that's what I do. I don't pay for a checkup. I thought that was really weird. But anyway, so we've
wait. Go back to that. So they paid for a consultation with you just to drop off their CV, or did they actually get you to check their teeth?
No, we did a checkup.
So you did your checkup, and then they revealed that they're a dentist
No, I knew they were a dentist.
because it says doctor on there. So
Yes,
they sign in with doctor.
yes, but for some reason they must have called the practice to book in. For some reason, it's reception left me a pop-up. It's saying the patient's a dentist. So I thought that was really weird. I questioned reception straight away, and I'm like, "Are you sure you've got this right?" And they shrugged their shoulders, and they were like, "Yeah." So I was like, "Okay, fine. They've paid, so we've got no reason not to see them." I thought it was really strange. But yeah, it was a young dentist, and she dropped off her CV, and I told her to come back in a few years.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Interesting.
that's an interesting way of approaching it, right? But so I think the fact that it's a private practice, the fact that it looks quite nice, you come in and you can see that the equipment's good. I think of all the things that I want as an associate. I want my drills to work. I want the chair to work. I don't want stuff to leak. I like to have, we've got good tech. That's kind of the stuff that I like as an associate, and good materials. And I'm very much of the view that dentistry is the patient's problem. It's not my problem. And if we need to get good kit, then we will charge the patient for it. And it's as simple as that. Whereas I've worked in practices where we had to order, you may not know this, but matrix bands, sectional matrix bands, so any dentists listening will know this. They're not cheap, but if you average it out, it's probably about £1 a procedure. And we had problems getting those in at the practice I used to work at. And it was just a case of, well, why don't we just charge the patient £1 extra, sort of thing. And when you sort of interview people, I've never had a no on the basis of, oh, this doesn't sound like a nice practice to work with. We've struggled to recruit for weekends. I'm very specific in the way that I like to work. I'm very thorough. I like to think anyway. And I see things now that I didn't necessarily see when I was a year out or 2 years out of university. The only people I can find to work weekends are a couple of years out of university. And I don't think our patients would... I think the dentists need to be skilled, at least in knowing what exists. Even if they can't offer it and they have to refer internally to one of us, they need to know what's possible and what to look out for and stuff like that. And I don't think that I hope I didn't know everything I know today 2 years out, because then I've wasted a lot of money on my education. But yeah, I know, right?
That is such a Sahil thing to say.
Yeah. So that's the only thing. We've struggled to recruit for weekends. We've not struggled to recruit for weekdays. But
Weekdays, yeah.
That's where all the other staffing comes in. Receptionists and nurses, they're quite difficult to recruit at the moment, especially. So yeah.
Okay, so you're still looking for dentists that will work on weekends?
Dentists that can work on weekends and are good.
Yeah. How many years? So how many years? Obviously, good is obviously dependent, but like, how many years would you expect?
I don't know, more than 4 or 5 years out. But the point is, they should have invested in their education.
Okay.
Some of the CVs I've had are people who are qualified for twice as long as I am, but there's no evidence of improving. It's all well and good that you work in private practice, but if you work in private practice and all you do is checkups all day, you're losing me money. But also, you're going to miss stuff. Or you're going to see stuff and say, I'm just going to keep this under review. Well, how long do you keep things under review for? 5 years, 10 years, 15 years? Can't happen in my practice. If the patient's got a problem, you're reviewing it, fine. But, you have to be proactive in your recommendations to the patient. Not from a financial perspective, but just from an actual, we're going to keep our teeth for a lot longer and our expectations have changed. So you and I are basically the same age. I think you're a year younger.
At the same age. Also, have you realised I missed your birthday last weekend? How sad is that?
I know.
Happy birthday.
Thank you. I was working.
It's in my calendar. How did I miss that? It's like, I was like, I need to put it in here. Sorry, dude, but happy birthday.
It's okay, thank you. I'm not
We're similar
person,
ages.
yes.
But you're now 31, aren't you?
I'm now 31, but the point I'm getting at is it's less acceptable for you and I to be missing teeth as we get into our middle and old age.
Oh,
We've
absolutely.
We've got to keep our teeth for longer, and we've got to, as dentists, we've got to be watching out for wear and tear. We've got to be watching out for gum disease and whatever else a lot more proactively than our predecessors, because my granddad had his teeth out in his 50s and got a set of complete dentures, and that was that. And sod's law, he lived until he was 88. So he sold himself short there. Just hi, Michaela.
Hey, Michaela.
Yeah. Cheers. Thanks. So you're gonna have to cut that out.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to get you a podcasting recording sign.
Yeah.
Stick on the door like a sock.
Yeah. What? Yeah. So going back to what I was saying, life expectancy is a lot longer, and the expectations of our patients, people of our age, are going to be a lot more different. A lot different, and we can't just bury our heads in the sand. And when I get applications of people who are 10, 15 years qualified, and I'm thinking, well, what have you done for the last 10 years? Just putting standard fillings. Either you're not mentioning that you've been on all these courses. I think we're going to be disturbed again, by the way. Either you're not mentioning that you've been on all these courses, or you haven't been on all these courses. And if you don't mention it, that means you're perhaps, not proud or aren't using it. Or you haven't been, in which case, if you're that qualified and you think that things are still the same as they were when you were at university, then there's a slight problem there.
Yeah. So they're kind of highlighting to you that they're not the right fit for DYD.
Yes. So a lot of the times we'll get CVs, and I think the last job advert I put out was probably around May, end of April, start of May, and we probably got about 40 CVs, and I did a phone interview for about 5 of them.
Okay. So quite drastically culled them quite quickly.
Yeah. Just some people are clearly just chancing it. They're only a couple of years qualified. That's fine. But also I think of when I was sending my CVs out and covering letters and stuff like that, I tried to give them constructive feedback. I never got constructive feedback, and I tried to say, look, you've only just qualified. You need to show me evidence of a restorative course, build a portfolio. Evidence that you're improving, and you're also looking to improve further. So we want to make sure that people have a career path, defined. Maybe not fully defined at that stage, but a rough idea of where they're going. I don't really want someone working with us part-time whilst they pursue something else. Like if someone's doing a master's in, I don't know, quick think of something, if they're doing further training in something and they're working with us half a day a week or a day a week, they're not really engaged in the practice. They don't really care about the long term. We're not their long-term plan. So unless they're in to do a specific treatment, when I hire a general dentist, I want to make sure that they've invested in their education further, and they're actually committed to just being good quality general dentists. Or they might be developing a special interest, but that they're going to hang around. I don't want them to be seeing patients and then leaving after a couple of years. We want continuity over time. So yeah.
Awesome, man. No, so it sounds like it's going well. Any plans to hire any more associates? Or do you think you're kind of at that level right now?
So to give you an indication of capacity, and this sort of moves on to the third thing, the new chair. We're running our first chair about 7 days a week, and our second chair probably 2 days a week at the moment. So I would want to fill my second chair for 4 or 5 days a week before I hire another associate. And I'd rather keep the existing associates and just give them more days if they're willing to do so. Just because you don't want everyone working one day, they're going to be disturbed again. You don't want everyone working.
Do you want to take it? It's fun. Oh,
no, it's okay.
See,
it's gone.
He's just waving goodbye. Okay, cool.
You don't want everyone working one day and then they take a week off and suddenly it's 2 weeks until their next appointment. You kind of want a little bit of choice for the patients as well, and also like let's say for example you come in once a week and then your patient has some post-operative problems, then it ends up being me that picks up the pieces. So yeah, ideally what I'd like to do is offer these guys further days as they become available, and we take it from there.
Perfect. Awesome. And you're talking of the chair. How did that all go? Because there was a little bit of a delay in terms of getting the chair. There was talk of getting like a demo chair, that kind of thing. How did it go?
Yeah, so that's what we did in the end. So I was unsure. I'm not risk averse, but around last September, October, I was thinking to myself, you know what, we're filling in the first chair about 5 days a week. We're probably ready for a second chair. Didn't do anything. Went to the showroom in December, and the guy said to me about 6 or 7 months, which would be basically now. And I said, well, actually, no, can't do that because it's just too far away. We need a chair as quickly as possible. So I called a few people. There's a couple of other brands that can deliver a lot quicker. Didn't really want to go for those just because I was a bit concerned about after sales and support and that sort of thing. If there's only one company that sells this chair, what happens if we fall out? They raise their prices and they become too expensive, or they go under, or whatever it is. So then I called a very large pink dental supplier, and
I got it.
and I asked them, how quickly can we get this chair delivered? Do you have any chairs? I said, yeah, actually, you know what? We've got one that's up in Scotland. It's an ex-demo model, and it's only been in the showroom, so you can have that, and you can have it for like $8,000 less than what it retails, and you can have it as soon as. So we had this conversation around January, and then we weren't ready because we kept being let down by the flooring guy. Then they delivered the chair around April, so still a lot, 3 months sooner than we would have had it otherwise, and half of it didn't work. They were missing half the parts. There was loads of cosmetic damage, all that kind of stuff. And so we said, look, these are the problems. Can you get them fixed? And they were like, yeah, we'll get them fixed. They still haven't fixed them.
Oh.
So I'm in the room. I've got the chair behind me. The chair works, but the scaler that the hygienist uses to clean people's teeth, that doesn't work. And it's just been like a comedy of errors. So they'll come in, they'll fix one thing, then they'll ruin something else.
Oh no!
Which is, to be fair, I've been warned about these big supply companies. There's no one's really accountable. Whereas if you've got a small family-run company, they'll generally put stuff right as soon as possible because their reputation depends on it. But it is what it is. We've got them coming in tomorrow, and I'm hoping that it's not going to be the last time that we see them. But I'm hoping that we get everything in running order at least, and then they can sort out any other little bits over time. So it's not been the easiest thing, and in hindsight being a great thing, I would have just ordered the brand new chair back in December, and it would have arrived about now. But then we've had this chair in semi-working condition for about 2.5 months, so it's been it's been helpful.
You've still had some use out of it.
Yes.
Even if it has been a bit painful.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, perfect. So in that case, obviously, have you learned a lot in terms of like when to pull the trigger on, say, chair 3 and surgery 3?
So yeah, exactly. With regards to the chair, we'll probably place the order in a couple of months because they're still on 6 month lead times. Mm-hmm. So if we place an order around September, we should get it next February, March, and with the view to potentially bringing it forwards or delaying it, depending on what we find.
Mm-hmm. So I guess you're looking at sort of like a new chair every 6 months or so, 6 to 8 months.
We're looking at a new chair probably every 9 months. I think is more
months.
realistic. I think we can squeeze more out of the ones that we've got, and so yeah, all of the damage that was, all the cosmetic damage to this X display chair, they've replaced. So
Okay.
the vast majority of the internals haven't been used because it's not
Mhm.
it's not a used chair. It's got a new warranty on it and everything, and the vast majority of the visible parts have been replaced. So we've actually got a semi-new chair, considering how many of the parts are actually just brand new.
I'm gonna say it just reminds me of Trigger's broom.
What's that?
Do you not know Trigger's broom? Oh, you've got to
No.
watch it. So basically, Trigger is a character out of Only Fools and Horses. Not sure if you ever grew up watching that. Probably not. But basically, he turns around. He's a bit dim-witted. He's a bit slow. He basically turns around he gets an award from the council because he's a road sweeper, and he gets an award for using the same broom for like 20 years. And everyone's like, the same broom for 20 years, and he's like, yeah, it's had five heads and 20 and like 17 handles. Well, that's not the same. That's not the same broom, Trigger. Oh my god, I've demolished that.
Yes,
God.
basically is.
So it's not the same. It's not the same chair that started.
No, the internals are the same. The internals are the same.
Oh my god, I can't believe I just tried to explain Trigger's broom.
I have just googled it in the background, so I think
It's like I've had the same broom for 20 years. I've had 4 handles and 13 heads, and you're like, well, how the hell does that work?
Yeah.
Oh my word. Okay, right. Let's just move on swiftly from that. Sorry, listeners. That was just a trip down memory lane that was also poorly delivered. Anyway, so that you're just sitting there thinking, what the hell? Okay, cool. So that's good. That's going well. What's next for DYD? I know you're an ambitious guy. What's next? When are we gonna be fully fitted out with 5 dental surgeries?
I have overestimated the amount of space that we have, rather. So I think we'll only probably fit out with 4. But try and run 4 surgeries 6 or 7 days a week, depending on staffing. And the reason for that is I think we need office space. Alternatively, what we'll do is, there's still some empty units in the development. We'll take one of those or set up a remote office nearby. On the current trajectory, we're probably looking at another 2.5, 3 years until we're fully kitted out. So I would expect to be running 5 surgeries in around about 2025, 26.
Oh man, perfect.
So that's what I'm hoping to achieve. What else? We need a CT scanner. So we've started bringing a lot of our extractions in-house. We started doing implants. So that's probably our next big investment. But at the moment, we've just had a bit of an odd June. So I was away for a week. And we had our best month in May in terms of turnover and new patients. And in June, it's sort of halved. The turnover hasn't halved. The turnover stayed roughly the same, but the number of new patients has halved, just as we've had 2 associates come in. So that's really annoying. And we can't figure out what it is.
Yeah, I was to say, what do you think that could be? Obviously, my initial reaction is just like summer holidays.
Not in June. As an associate, I've normally seen a drop off in August, which, if that's the case, I'm really not looking forward to it. But we generally don't see that much of a drop off that early on. So it started to pick up again in the last 10 days or so, but it's just very noticeable that we had 2 weeks of, so an average month for us is about 70 new patients, which is, apparently it's lower than what a lot of other people are getting, but people need so much treatment that it's not really a problem for us. But then that's sort of, I think we had 100 and something in May, and then we've had about 50 something in June. So it was a bit, what's going on here? But we don't know. We don't know. It's really not that obvious. And if anything, we're now, we're slowly moving up the Google rankings. We're getting more and more reviews. So I'm not really sure what that is.
Interesting. Yeah, like you said, based on past experience, the summer drop off isn't necessarily the cause. Whether or not did you, and obviously you personally haven't got a lot of like historical data because of the practice has been going for just over a year, so you can't say it's an area thing. Yeah, interesting. But I know you'll be monitoring it, so
I think doubling down on
Mm.
marketing and things like that, it's quite important. That's why I was looking into sponsorship. I think I missed a boat on that. So there's a summer festival in Ealing next month, and so they have comedy, jazz, and something else. I can't remember what else it is. And we were looking at sponsoring that, getting our logo out, getting leaflets put on seats and stuff like that. And I was thinking, well, actually, it's only 2 weeks away. We're going to miss out on a lot of the promotional leaflets that have gone out. We won't get our logo on those. We'll only get a couple of weeks worth of their social media activity as opposed to a couple of months. We'll get leaflets on seats, but is it really worth several thousands of pounds? And I'm thinking possibly not. So we just need to look for similar opportunities and maybe pencil that in for next spring, so we're ready for next summer.
And what was driving you towards that particular event?
I went to it last year.
I'm a fan.
Yeah, I went to it last year. I went to it last year, and I got an email saying, "Do you want to come again this year? Tickets are X, Y, and Z, and this is who's coming. This is who's performing for the comedy." And I thought, oh, you know what? I could sponsor this, couldn't I? And then I looked more into it, and they have a sponsorship pack, which is fine. It's really nicely organised, but it was just too late.
You're like, yeah. I was going to say, obviously, proximity to the practice is obviously good. Did you also think, like, the types of people that were there would be a good fit for the practice?
Yeah, people with a little bit of disposable income. If people are spending money on comedy and jazz and stuff like that, they've clearly got a little bit of money to spend. To be honest, I'd expect a fairly broad spectrum of ages and things like that. Most of our patients between 20 and 40. It's about half of our patients between 20 and 40. All the figures are something like that. So, I didn't really look into the demographics so much.
No, but just sort of like based on that, disposable income makes kind of sense. Yeah, that's good, man. Perfect. And finally, what do you think has been the biggest lesson that you've taken home from the last 3 months? What's been that big?
I need to take more time off.
More time off. Perfect. So look after yourself. Have you been going to the gym?
I have. I'm going after we finish.
Excellent. Have you been enjoying it?
I always enjoy it. Just don't get time for it.
I still remember those first few calls we had, and it's only still last year, but you were always sitting next to an exercise bike, and you never used it.
It's in the room next door. So
it's here now. It's here now.
It's in the practice. Yeah. I should never have bought it in hindsight, because I know I don't like cycling, and I bought it just because I was like, I don't have anywhere to put a treadmill, and I didn't really want to go for a run every single day. I find I enjoy running, but on a treadmill. I don't enjoy running out on the pavement because I can only do one thing at once, and pavements are uneven, and I don't really want to do, and I don't really want to run on the road either. So that was it. And at that stage, I didn't really want to go to the. Sorry, just trying to put something in the bin, and it's failed.
Did you miss?
from 3 inches away.
He's a great dentist, but he's shit at putting stuff in the bin.
Yeah, so that exactly. My foot-hand coordination is crap.
So it was destined to be a dentist and not a footballer.
Yeah, well, we use foot pedals in dentistry, so maybe that says something about
no.
Yeah.
Okay, right. Let's hope no patient listens to this. But so you enjoy the gym. You run on the treadmill at the gym. What any other exercises? Anything that you can recommend?
Loads of weight training. So I've always been a bit of a big guy, but at the same time, I've always been a bit of an active big guy, and I used to go to the gym with a few mates, and we're pretty. I know what I'm doing. Let's say. So yeah, I'm focusing mostly on compound exercise. I just want to keep my heart rate up and drop a few of the pounds, and then work on, get to a certain level and then work on refining things. Because if I start focusing on, okay, today's chest day and today's leg day and today's back day and all that kind of stuff. Firstly, I've got to work. Secondly, I can't do a 2-hour workout like I was at university. It has to be, 45 minutes to an hour.
Concise. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. That's another thing, actually. I'm learning to just get to the point. I'm becoming very, just get it done sort of thing, which I'm normally not. So buying a washing machine used to be a 4-week exercise for me.
Example came straight into my mind. I was like, I'm sure that's one of the first things we discussed, was how you'll spend hours and hours researching washing machines or toasters, and you'll buy the first one anyway.
Yeah,
it's almost like your gut goes for the first one, but then you're almost like, it's too good to be true. Let's just see what else is on the market.
Yeah, actually, I've done that for a laptop bag. I bought the first one that I saw from John Lewis, and I picked it up from Waitrose, opened it, and I was like, this is a bit shit. So I should have done a bit more research on that. Because I want my laptop bag to have lots of compartments. If I chuck everything in one, I'll never find it.
Okay, so you need to find a balance.
Yeah, I need to find
a
balance.
It's not quite go with the first thing, but it's also not go with not research all 500 examples.
Exactly. It's finding the balance.
Okay, right, dude. Right, I'm gonna leave you to it because we've got a few things to catch up on anyway. But
sure.
Thanks again for being on the podcast.
Thank you for having me.
You asked for the co-host. That's what I tell everyone anyway. And we will try and keep this a bit more regular. And I think the listeners would benefit from a few specific chats about things.
So I was hoping to get a few people on to talk about the legal aspects of setting up a practice. Certainly the way I did it. Equipment. We need to get. I've got a couple of people that we could speak to about kitting out a dental practice, designing one.
Absolutely,
that sort of thing.
That's great for nudging me on that front. It would be great to have me, you plus, interrogatee or whatever the word is, someone that we on the spotlight, and me, you could just throw.
Do you mean
cover
victim?
all the angles? Victim, that's the one.
Yeah.
I've just found a kite surfing dental lawyer.
Interesting.
So he could be. I don't think he'd necessarily kite surf, but he could be a good one to add on to the.
Based in the UK.
Yep.
I'm intrigued to know who this is.
I'm talking to him tomorrow, hopefully. So I'll mention the podcast and I'll get him on. And I actually spoke to him today in his beach hut, out looking out to the sea. He was actually kite surfing there and then. How cool was that? I think he had a week off. He doesn't just do kite surfing all the time. It was his week off. But I thought this is quite a cool solicitor. Is this quite a cool solicitor? I didn't think solicitors were this cool.
Yeah, people think that about dentists as well, don't they? They think that dentists are pretty boring.
No, she come and hang with you. Come and hang with me and you on the podcast,
I'm
and then see how real cool we were.
I'm a pretty boring person, to be honest. I'm not even gonna lie.
Right, I can see you started clicking, so I think I've lost you. So I'll talk to you later. Cheers, man.
Sounds good. See you later. Bye.